of awareness or consciousness that we have. And because we're here to evolve in consciousness, that's a big thing of the illness. So it's a big tool. The emotion stores the information. Oh, I apologize, I did not translate that image. But that is a brain cell. And basically, this is all about the electric jump between one neuron and the other. And the more emotion that we have, the bigger the electricity between them. So it's like if you're going to mark a line, the heavier the thing it is, the bigger the trench or the line is going to be. If I take a stick, I might not even be able to draw anything because the land is hard. But if it's an iron bar or something, it might make a little bit bigger. And if it's a big thing with a machine and everything, it will just dig everything out and will make a big line that might be 2 feet deep or 20 feet deep, right? But the bigger, the more weight it has, the bigger that connection. So in our brains, between one neuron and the other, the bigger the electricity, the bigger the highway, if you will, or the bigger the change, or that connection between those two will be. And the key to how much electricity is going to be created here is how much emotion we have. And that's one of the reasons that we were saying, I'm feeling awesome, I'm feeling ready, because we want to have the emotion. Otherwise, the information is going to come through here and out there because there is no emotion about it, right? So the more excited that we are about anything, the more the information will stay here. If this is hot again, if this is hot and a lot of emotion here, right? So big imprint in my brain, because there is a big emotion, the information is going to get stuck in there forever. And then my amygdala is going to start to scan for anything that might look like this, because I stored that information. Same with, like, on the other spectrum. If we, let's say if my son, if he sees me, he might go like, "Oh, Dad," and he might run and give me a hug, because the emotion is always present, right? If he sees a person that he has never seen in his life, he's going to be like, "Well, I don't know you. I'm not going to have a response." So anyway, that's how it works in the brain. The function of the biomagnetic code is to reverse engineer the process. So when I burned my hand, I created an emotional response. Or when I saw a snake, I created an emotional response that it sent information to different parts. So if I felt the need to run, maybe most of the electric charge was here and here and I don't know where, right? But because I saw a snake and I want to run, so the energy gets sent there. So the changes in the bodies will happen where the energy will be sent to, which means that as long as I am able to express the emotion, my body will not store that excess energy. If I have fear and I actually jump and run and scream, I'm expressing the emotion. I am burning up the energy. The problem is that we are very well trained in repression. So I am angry, but it's my boss, so I'm not going to say anything. And I just pass down that anger and hope that it disappears on its own. Truth of the matter is, all that anger, it's an emotion. It's not wrong. It's not right. It's just an emotion that came out of a perception. But now what do I do with it? Well, if I don't like it, what we tend to do, especially in the spiritual world where I was taught by the Buddha, is no, I'm bigger than that. I don't need to be angry, and I'm just going to let it go. Well, the problem is that if I already felt the anger came about from a perception. So I need to address it. Because if I just fool myself into thinking, well, that's not what I was taught. So I'm just going to overcome that emotion. I'm missing the opportunity of the involution process of or the evolution, because I'm just ignoring the emotion. If I was already angry, I need to address that. After I release that anger or sadness or frustration or whatever it is, then I can address my perception so that it doesn't happen again. Right? But first, I need to acknowledge that in my body there is a ton of energy that is anger or sadness or anything that you. So we've been repressing emotions since who knows when, and all that electricity has been just layers upon layers upon layers. Not necessarily that the body is carrying that electricity per se, although it kind of is, but in part of it is the identity that is executive. So like, for example, if I am angry with my boss at work, I get home and I see my child, I'm going to go from the ego state of the employee that has anger to the identity of I'm a father. And I'm going to be like, oh, my baby, this and that, because I just switched to a different identity, which at that time, the body will respond differently. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because we're not supposed to talk about ego states, but the whole idea is that the body has been storing, and the ego states have been storing information about all the emotions that we've been repressing or that we haven't been able to express. That doesn't mean that if I am angry at my boss, well, my therapist said that I'm going to punch you because I'm feeling very angry and I need to express myself. That doesn't mean that. It means I need to be aware of the anger. And then when I get home, I can do, I don't know, I can walk or jump at the rope or something, or just talk about it. Because even if I talk about it, I am moving my muscles, I am expressing, and my whole body is like, okay, check. This energy is out. The problem with that is that we tend to get stuck in a vicious cycle, and now I'm going to talk about how horrible my boss is tomorrow and the day after and the week after, and 10 years after I was retired, I'm still talking about how horrible my boss was when I was 20-something years old, which that's a problem, but that's more, we like our drama. All right, human